Hello everyone, it's Justine. Today I get to stitch and show you some really neat dies. Now, the small die of the month for September 2022 from Spellbinders is in fact a stitched die set. So there are a number of different dies and they basically make all of these leaves. They're so pretty and you can really change the look of it with changing the color of the cardstock. I've stitched 6 already and I have 1 to stitch on camera for you today. I also have the sentiments and I'm using the sentiment Hello Fall. Those are the 2 sentiments that come in the set. To get the orange lettering, I used the very skinny one, and to get the background, I will use the more puffy one. Anyway, I have gone ahead and glued those all together and finished off these leaves. So let's get into the actual stitching part. If you have never stitched before, this would be kind of a fun set to start on because the dies are rather small and the satisfaction of finishing a stitch project would come quite quickly since it is very small. So to stitch, you will need string. I like to use embroidery thread, not the floss, and the floss, not the thread. The floss is less fuzzy. You can see here there's a little fuzz, but the thread is quite a bit more fuzzy. So I take the embroidery floss and I split it into 3 threads. You can see here that I have 3 threads to this all together. Now, Spellbinders recommends 1, 2, 3 threads when you're using it. Typically, embroidery thread and floss comes in 6 strands. So you can see there's 3 there, and I'm going to use all 3, and that produces this look. If you're looking for a thinner look, you can use less strings. Now, to start, I'm going to turn my project over to the back and go in really any hole you can start in. I'm just going to choose this one, pull it through, and I'm just going to hold the tail kind of about here. I'm not concerned with taping it down. You could tape it down with some washi tape or even just regular tape, but I'll just pinch it with my thumb. Now my thread is on the back right now. Whoops, my tail popped out. Anyway, so once it's coming through the hole, now it's on the front. So I'm going to take my needle and go into the center. If you look very carefully on the die, they have lines of where the threads will go. So there's really no guessing of which hole to go in next. I typically like to just follow the lines on the dies and work my way around. So that produces the first line. Then my thread is on the back. So I'm going to go into the next hole, pull it tight. Now I'm on the front. I'm going to go in through the center following the line that's on the die there. Pull it tight. Going to go in the next one. Pull it tight. Going to go in through the middle. Pull it tight. And I'm going to keep going up to the top of the leaf. Now I'm going a little bit slower than what I would regularly do because I'm showing you kind of the how-to. But if you are a stitcher already, bear with me, or just skip to the part of the video when I put it on the card. All right, I'm going to go around the outside here, and I'm going to go a little bit faster at my regular speed just so I can show you what I do next. And if you love stitching on cards, you are my kind of gal. If not, maybe this would inspire you to try it out. But I love stitching on cards. It's very relaxing. And look how fast that was. That didn't hardly take any time, maybe a minute and a half. Anyway, now that I'm at the bottom, again, I want to work on the stem that goes up to the top of the leaf. So I am going to go in the second hole, and I'm going to go, and I just lost my needle. The joys of crafting, I tell you. to thread your needle if you're not very versed in threading needles. You can do this. I kind of like to pinch my fingers together, pull it through. Sometimes it doesn't work like this, so I do keep on hand my needle threader. Now this is a special tool from DMC, the needlework brand, and it's called a needle threader. So it has this part that I'm using here on the top, and then these on the side are technically for yarn and yarn needles, but I sometimes use them for embroidery work if I'm hiding a tail. All right, back to my stem. So I'm in the front. I'm going to go down through the next hole, and that will create my first line, up through the next one, and you'll see that it's creating a line every other time. So then I'm going to go into this hole, come up, and I'm going to work my way down. That will create the next line. Go up through this one, if I can find the hole, and go down through the next one, like that. And lastly, come up and down. And my leaf is finished, just like that. Since I'm going to be gluing this onto this paper, I'm really not concerned with my tail being hidden beautifully. This isn't like embroidering on a dishcloth where you have to hide your tail and nobody would ever see it. It's getting glued. So I'm just going to take my tail, or my needle, I guess, and just kind of work it through the project like that. Really not concerned with where it's going. Pull my needle out, pop it on my magnet because I lose needles and they're sharp. And I will just trim my tail, and that's it. If you are working on bigger stitch projects, you might want to tie a little knot or tape the tail down. It's up to you. Now that I'm finished with the stitching part, I get to assemble my card. I have my liquid glue, and I'm going to put my stitched part onto the back like so. Basically just getting glue kind of all over and putting some on the leaf, the stem of the leaf, just so it does not pop off on the bottom. And my double-sided tweezers are going to come in handy as usual. I love Spellbinders stitch dies. I think they are just such a fun part of card making, and it really is a wow factor to a card. All right, now that my leaf is done, I get to work on positioning my leaves on my piece of paper. Now I'm going to use this cardstock and mount it onto here, so I'm not going to put it on my card just yet because I'm going to have some of the leaves falling off of my red paper. My Hello Fall sentiment will be the centerpiece of my card here, and I'm going to have the leaves kind of all over. To create this look, I'm going to first kind of map it out on my paper without gluing anything down just yet. I think I'll put some of these scattered around. Now, if you're wondering, well, how did you pick the colors for this card? Well, I went to my scrap area and just found some colors that I thought looked fall-like, and or autumnal if we're going to use lovely vocabulary. And I decided to pair a background with a different color. So I have these two are opposites, where it's orange on the bottom, gray on the top, gray on the top, orange on the bottom. So that's kind of the look I was going for. We have brown, green, green, brown. And then to tie all the leaves together, I used a maroon thread to really help that out. Now all I have to do is glue down my project. So I'm going to glue each leaf down, and it's okay if some of them are coming off of the red area. I'm going to either cut them off, or I'm going to let them just hang off depending on what I decide in the end. I haven't quite gotten there yet. chances are I will be grabbing my paper trimmer and cutting all of them off. But time will tell. I think I'm going to make this font a little bit wonky and go kind of like crisscross, just because I'm not the best at getting things straight, and I don't know, it's just really not my personality. I like things a little fun, a little crooked, a little wonky, and that's just me. All right. Okay, now I get to work with the rest of the leaves and I'll be good to go. Stitching is definitely something that takes a little bit more time than stamping, but some people take quite some time when they are coloring images, stamped images, so I would definitely not be deterred by stitching if you are thinking, that's going to take me forever. How am I ever going to finish a card? Don't worry. You do get faster at stitching the more you stitch as well. I know that my first stitch die that I really just fell in love with stitching with was the Hello die from Spellbinders. That was the one that I just kind of went nuts with. It was spring break for me, and I'm a teacher. I had time off, and I just stitched almost nonstop the whole break. I know. That's just what I did. Anyway, stitching is perfect for really any season as well. This summer I've taken stitching on the go quite a bit. I have stitched during road trips through the mountains in Virginia this summer, through Wisconsin and Iowa. I'm right now in Minnesota, so it's been fun. I'm going to take some stitching up to Duluth this weekend when I go. And, well, when this video's up, it will be a long time ago, but I love taking stitching everywhere I go. I have this little container. Pardon me for 1 minute and I will show you my container. All right, here's my container. It's nothing special at all. You could use Tupperware container from your kitchen if you are wanting to make something like this. Typically, I have some stitched projects that need to be worked on, like this one. It needs stitching. I might have something that I'm in the process of, like this one. Or I might even have some finished work in it. Oh, I just pulled these out not too long ago, but I might have some finished things that need to be finished, like this card, but I keep those in there. I keep some of these depending on the color. If I know, oh, with this Stitch Joy I want to use yellow or green, I'm going to put those little bobbins, if you will, in here. Then I have my needle holder. This is from DMC. It basically just has a magnet in it. This teeny tiny magnet in the corner is what came with it. This larger magnet I grabbed from my refrigerator. Anyway, it just holds my needles. I usually keep a little bit of washi tape in there just in case. I really don't know why there's a Sharpie in here, but there is. And then typically I carry these scissors in here and my needle threader. But since I use them for the video, I had them out of my box. So there's my little stitching on the go. This could fit into really anything, a backpack, not a pocket, but it's perfect, and I love taking things like this on the go. So there's my 2 cents about stitching. Let's now chop off some edges now that my leaves have had a second or two to dry. Okay, what side can I cut off first? I'm going to cut these off first because they're the littlest bumps, and I want to work with the rest of these with a straight edge. So I'm going to make this be my first straight edge, and I'm just going to eyeball it because I can't get it into the corner there because of these leaves. So here goes nothing. Perfect. Okay. Now that will be my first straight edge, so I'm just going to line it up on the corner and chomp off the rest. Okay, I might have to do a little bit of remedial work with my scissors since I see some stitched areas have come apart. I'm not going to worry about it because I have sharp scissors. And worst comes to worst, I can just glue it. Okay, now for these areas, chomp, chomp, chomp. Alrighty. Those are going to head over to the bin. And let's see the damage. Not bad. Could be way worse. Okay, I'm going to just cut the little piece of cardstock, and then we're going to put a little bit of glue on the back. Kind of get it tacky. Then I'm going to take my finger with that glue and just kind of comb over those stitched areas and lay them flat. And it's like there was no problem at all. Someone believe me? Okay, now this little piece needs just a dab of glue to hold down. Maybe some stitchers are thinking, what in the world? You just took your stitch project and a paper cutter and cut through your project. What? There it is. All smooth. Okay. The reason why I did that, by the way, is because I like when things fall off the edge, because I think it just looks a little more natural, fun. I don't know. You pick the word. It looks better to me. So, and yes, I'm using this Crafter's double-sided tape and not my Easy Runner Grand because my local craft store was out of the Easy Runner Grand refill, which I was like a little surprised about because it is popular. Oh, that one's finished. Let's grab a new one. Let me just make all the sound in the world. Anyway, so I picked up these little double-sided tapes. They're fine. In the end, they are more spendy than the Easy Runner Grand refills, so wasn't thrilled about that, but sometimes with life, you just gotta roll with the punches. Roll with the double-sided tape. Okay, that is secure. And that is it. That's my finished card. I love it. I'm going to make another stitched card using the Stitched Leaves die. So if you're interested, subscribe to my channel and come on back in a couple days and that will be live on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and like the video if you've liked the card. Give stitching a try. I will have some stitched dies linked in the description if you're interested. Go ahead and check those out. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope you get to craft soon. Bye!